Hey, this is Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the MTV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Angus and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course, the king of all, those ginormous, gigantic tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had, probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call, find out what's for dinner. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. All right, a nice round of applause for them. And for everybody tuning in on Pick Your Favorite affiliate, whether it's CBS, NBC, Fox, Independence from coast to coast, television, Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, Wild, Charter, and independent cable affiliates in select markets, Hotel TV. Also, our friends on Facebook on Chicago Food Favorites. Again, that's on Facebook. Have some fun. It's a fun group. Talk about your favorite restaurants, favorite recipes, your favorite foods. Make some friends. Have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Also, by the way, our friends over at Vacation Buddies is wanting to give you a couple of nights in Las Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or in Branson, Missouri, if you can answer this very simple trivia question. Which one of these four NBA superstars won 6 NBA titles? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Larry Bird, C, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, or D, Michael Jordan? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but they want to give you a couple of nights in Vegas, Orlando, or Branson. If you know the answer to that very simple trivia question, 888-576-5777. Call now. All right. Now it is that time to go over the NCAA football rankings, and we're not going to just do the top 25. Oh, no. We're going to start all the way down with number 136. That's right. I'm not going to go over all of them, but I figure since it goes down to 136, why not give those kind of like Mr. Irrelevant in the draft, right? Like Tom Brady was 199th overall, whatever. Why not give the last ranked team, well, I say ranked as in it's kind of humorous because the 136th ranked team is 1 win against 2 losses, but there are scores of 0-3 teams that rank higher than them. And I'm not really sure how the Akron Zips rank above anybody. I'll never understand that. In football, they are, well, they're not very good. But somehow they are ranked 134th. UMass, also at 0-3, is ranked 135th. And Kent State, the Golden Flashes, are 1 win against 2 losses, and they are ranked last in the nation. Now, that to me doesn't make sense. Of course, they're likely going to go to 1-3 because they play Florida State, and that's not going to end very well. UMass likely will go to 0-4. That's not going to end well because they're playing at the Missouri Tigers. And the Akron Zips, they actually have a chance in this game against Duquesne. And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, they are a 6.5-point favorite, which I don't ever recall seeing Akron favored in anything. But nonetheless, they have a chance to go 1-3. So let's just kind of scan these real quick. And it's just, what a kerfuffle looking at these. And I see the Thundering Herd of Marshall is ranked 132nd. Nevada Wolfpack 131. Going up the ladder here, Tulsa, the Golden Hurricanes, are 127. And boy, they have their hands full with, Oak State. And they are about a 13.5-point dog to them. And it's probably going to end very, very, very poorly for them. Anyway, UAB, here's an interesting one. University of Alabama, Birmingham. Now, they're playing at Rocky Top. They're playing Tennessee. And I mean, Tennessee is going to make very quick work of them. But what I don't understand, they are the lowest ranked 2-1 team in college football. I don't even understand how the Dragons, the University of Alabama Birmingham Dragons, are 122nd in the nation, yet they have 2 wins against 1 loss. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And a very good Georgia State team is 1-2, and they're just ahead of them, ahead of UAB, and they've got a resurgent Vanderbilt Commodores team, which, well, good luck for that one. But going up this here, Coastal Carolina, 1-2. They are 119th. Remember, Coastal's gone to some good bowl games in the last handful of years here. The Wyoming Cowboys are 118th, and they're playing at Colorado. And they got a shot to go in there and stop Colorado, which was not very good anyway. But going up the ladder here, here's an 0-3 team in Sam Houston, which likely they're going to go to 0-4. They're 117th. And look, they sit above a couple of 2-1 teams, which makes no sense to me whatsoever. So moving up, even the Delaware Blue Hens are 2-1, and somehow they're 116th, because when you look up the ladder, you say, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So the Florida, FAU, we'll just call them, is 1-2. They're 113th. San Diego State is 1-1, likely going to go to 2-1, playing Cal, but they're 112th. Again, something that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Liberty, same thing. Liberty's 1-2. They got a tough game coming up with the James Madison Dukes. We'll get into that a little bit later. FIU at 2-1 plays Delaware. That should be an easy one. What else do we have here? Southern Miss, they are 108. The Men of Troy are 107 at 1-2. And Northern Illinois, they're 1-1, 105th in the nation. So you ask yourself, why are we doing this? Because when you look at these teams, San Jose State, for example, is 0-2. They're ranked 101st. Yet, let's go all the way back down to the bottom. And actually, we'll go up to our first 2-1 team. And our first 2-1 team from the bottom up, it was UAB at 122nd. Now, how in the world is San Jose State 21 slots higher than them? That makes no sense whatsoever. San Jose State will likely not get their first win. They're going to go to 0-3. They'll still probably be ranked higher. So the Cadets of Army are 99th at 1-1. Utah State 2-1, 98. Air Force 1-1 at 96. Appalachian State 2-1 at 95th ranked team. That makes no sense. Here's Hawaii at 3-1, and they are ranked 93rd. Now, what happens if Hawaii does the unthinkable and they beat Fresno State? Now, Fresno State is a decent football team, but academically they are a complete disaster. So who knows about the team's collective IQ? Not really sure about that, but what happens if Hawaii goes to 4-1, and then you look at the rankings and they're still like 90th in the country? Here's Va-Tech. Va-Tech is 0-3. 0-3, and they're ranked 91st. Ahead of all these other teams. Why? Because, that's right, they're a Power 4 school. So that doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense, or does it? New Mexico is 2-1 and ranked just one click above Va-Tech. You see where I'm going with this, folks? Stanford, 88th, 1-2. Oregon State, 0-3 at 87. How does that work? Washington State yet at 2-1, and they're 85th. These rankings are whatever. Pick your favorite word. UCLA 0-3, ranked 81st. I'm not really sure why they do this. Fresno State 3-1, ranked 76. Now we're getting up into the meat of this, and we're going up a little bit faster. Toledo 2-1, and they are 72. And University of Central Florida, who is now in the Big 12, they're 2-0, but they're ranked 71st. And so as we go up the ladder here, we see, the Mean Green of North Texas are undefeated at 3-0. Somehow they're ranked 63rd in the nation. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Same thing with Memphis, 57th at 3-0. Maryland, 56th at 3-0. The local team here in Vegas, 3-0, ranked 55th. Rutgers, 3-0, ranked 53rd. You see where we're going with this, folks? Michigan State, ranked 50th at 3-0. The Naval Academy, same thing, ranked 49th. Yet Florida, one win against 2 losses, is ranked 48th, ahead of all those 3-0 teams. Makes no sense. Now we go up to Arizona and Cal and Houston. Boom, 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 46, 45, 44. Why are those undefeated teams ranked so low? NC State, they're playing at Duke. Duke is going to be a favorite in that game. The point is they are number 40. Washington, now we're getting into some of the better teams, at 38. Mississippi State at 34, 3-0. And then we go to BYU at 32. Nebraska 3-0, and they're likely going to get stomped by Michigan. Tulane 3-0, 29th against Ole Miss. USC 3-0, playing Michigan State at Michigan State. All right, and they are 28th. Louisville 2-0, 26th. Now we're getting the top 25. And then here you have Notre Dame. How those guys are 0-2 and ranked in the top 25, I will never know. All I know is that is a complete disaster. Because right above them is War Eagle at 3-0. The Auburn Tigers are 22nd. Vanderbilt 3-0 at 21. Missouri 3-0 at 20. Indiana 3-0 at 19. Texas Tech 18, 3-0. Georgia Tech 16th, 3-0. Ole Miss 3-0, 15th. Iowa State 4-0 at 13. And on we go. Back here in a few minutes on The Circus. Lots more to come.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at
714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100.
Or email us at info@thesportcircus.com. That's info@thesportcircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average and best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP-TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com. You know, folks, they've been with us since the very beginning back in 2016, way back time machine. So a nice round of applause for the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. All right, welcome back to everybody listening in on all of our network affiliates and independents, including our friends over in Atlanta, WDJY 99.1 FM. Thanks for waking up with us over in Auburn, Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama, and in Columbus, Georgia, all points in between. WAUD, that is home of the Atlanta Braves, 1230 on the AM dial. Thanks for joining us there. Up and down the Midwest, throughout the heartland, out to the West Coast, those driving between sunny Southern California and fabulous Las Vegas, listening in on 101.5 FM and 107.3 FM Highway Country Radio. That's home of the Raiders and the Vegas Golden Knights. And of course, we're on that station because it is their sports station, their flag station on that long drive between Vegas and Southern California, the greater LA market. Of course, welcoming everybody else up through San Francisco to Anchorage, down to Honolulu, CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the New York Yankees, San Francisco 49ers, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. And plus, everybody else watching on Pick Your Favorite TV provider in select markets. Same thing with Hotel TV, as well as those streaming on Pick Your Favorite streamer as well. All right. Oh, and by the way, folks, if you're just tuning in the first segment, we gave away actually, we didn't give anything away. It was Vacation Buddies that gave a trip away for those that know. We're saying a couple of nights, by the way, in Las Vegas, Branson, Missouri, or Orlando, Florida. If you knew the answer to a simple trivia question, we're going to repeat it here for you in case you're just tuning in. Which of these 4 NBA superstars won 6 NBA titles? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Larry Bird, C, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, or D, Michael Jordan? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies, again, is not affiliated with the station, but they want to give you a couple of nights in either Las Vegas, Branson, Missouri, or Orlando, Florida, if you know the answer to that very, very simple trivia question. If so, call them now, 888-576-5777. All right, back to this college football ranking. Now, we started with 136th in the nation, which was the Kent State Golden Flashes. And what really struck me funny with this whole thing is how in the world is a team that is 1 win against 2 losses ranked lower than a 3-loss team? And then you go all the way to 122, which UAB, University of Alabama, Birmingham, they are the lowest ranked 2-win team in the rankings. Mind you, it's only most teams have played 3 games. But how in the world is a 2-1 team sitting behind a whole bunch of 0-3 teams? That to me makes 0 sense. Anyway, we worked our way all the way up through number 23 with it had Notre Dame. Somehow, with 2 losses and no wins, they are ranked 23rd in the top 25. Makes no sense to me. Then there was Auburn, Vanderbilt, Missouri, Indiana, the Pitchforks at number 19, Texas Tech, Bama, Georgia Tech, Ole Miss, Rocky Top, Iowa State, Utah, Oklahoma at 11, Texas at 2-1, Florida State, Illinois, number 8 at 3-0. Boy, they've got a fun one coming up down in Bloomington, Indiana. Texas A&M 3-0, number 7, Penn State, number 6. These are through CBS, by the way, folks. Nonetheless, that's what I'm looking at here. And, of course, Oregon 5, which I think Oregon's the best team in the country. LSU 4, which I think they have them ranked in the AP number 3. Georgia at 3-0. I believe they are ranked maybe number 4 at the AP. It doesn't really matter at this point. The rankings don't really matter much. Miami ranked number 2, and Ohio State at ranked number 1 somehow. I wonder if the wire transfer had actually transpired. I wonder if that one actually cleared yet. Not really sure if that happened. But anyway, with all that said, we look at these rankings and we say, all right, now the rankings are one thing, according to CBS Sports. They're different in the coaches poll. They're different in the Associated Press. I mean, which one really matters? Right now, none of them matter. And frankly, they shouldn't have any rankings out until I think the 1st of November. That to me would make a heck of a lot more sense. But then again, I'm not the one in charge. But when I look at the odds of these games, I kind of shrug my shoulders and say, well, why is it? So let's just go ahead and never mind the standings right now. Let's just start with the games on September 18th with the Rice Owls traveling to Charlotte. Now, here's a funny thing. This is Sell the Bookmaker talking now. Now, when you look at the opening line and you look at the current line, you're like, wait a minute. We're not going to focus on the online betting companies because we're not going to. But we're going to only focus on Caesars, MGM, Bally's, that kind of thing, right here in Las Vegas. And so, looking at it, Rice opens up -6.5, and the current line at MGM is -2.5. That line dropped 4. Caesars had dropped 4.5 to 2, and Bally's had dropped 5. Okay, so all the money apparently is going on Charlotte. But you're getting to a point now where why wouldn't you consider betting on Rice? Because the line has come down so far. Basically, it's a field goal or less game anyway. It doesn't really matter. I don't know. I mean, for my money, I look at this and say, do I want to put anything on it? I don't. If I was going to put something on it, I probably would consider Rice because you're talking a 5-point spread. Now, I would probably take that one over at Bally's. That makes the most sense because, hey, you get a 5-point spread. Now, will Charlotte win by a field goal? Who knows? I don't know. Nobody knows. But here's another interesting one. So you got an intrastate game between the University of Tulsa, Golden Hurricanes, and Oklahoma State. Now, these two schools are not very far distance-wise apart. The line opens up at Oak State -13.5. The line's down to 11.5 at Bally's, Caesars, and MGM Grand. That's a lot of points. 10 points is usually that number where you draw the line and say, okay, now you're talking a touchdown and a field goal with, of course, the extra point. So why you wouldn't take Tulsa in an interstate or an in-state rivalry, I would never know because Tulsa's not that bad and Oklahoma State is certainly not that good. So me personally, I'm taking Tulsa with the 11.5. That makes a little bit more sense to me. But then again, I'm not advocating for anybody to take anything. It's just what I'm looking at. And I'm not picking these teams because there are teams or games that Sell the Bookmaker picks. And, well, that information can be sold at a particular time. Of course. And you can info at thesportcircus.com for information. Info at thesportcircus.com for more information on that. Okay, moving into the Big Ten, it's Iowa. Opened up -3 at Rutgers. The Scarlet Knights. What a great name. So you've got a 3-point line, which has dropped down to 2.5, which makes it a little bit more attractive for Iowa because now you could technically win by the hook with a field goal. And, of course, all the casinos that we have here, MGM, Caesars, and the Bally's organization, you've got all of them at 2.5. And I got to tell you, I'm willing to lay the 2.5 at Rutgers. How about the Mean Green of North Texas? These guys are 3-0, and they're playing Army. And what does Army do? The whole world knows they run. That's it. Student body left, student body right. They run. They force you to stop them and stop the run. They usually lead the nation in rushing. And so they basically turn it into a backyard brawl. That would be, of course, like Pitt and West Virginia. But Army turns every game into a street fight. And so Army opened up at -1.5. Now they're +2.5 at the casinos. So that's a 4-point swing. Got to tell you, folks, the idea of the Mean Green of North Texas going to 4-0, it looks pretty darn good at the hands of the Cadets. So that one looks kind of fun to watch. I'd be very interested to see where that one goes. SMU travels right across town to play TCU. These two teams play right there in the Dallas market. And TCU opened up at -4, and they're up to -7 at MGM and Caesars, and they're 6.5 at Bally's. So if you're thinking about betting TCU, you may want to consider the idea that if you bet at Bally's, you can still score the touchdown, win by 7, and win by the hook rather than get the push. So that would be probably the play there. The local team here in Vegas, which you could never bet on, those guys opened up at -5.5. They're traveling to Miami of Ohio, and the line is down to 2.5. So the bettors are thinking that the local team, Miami of Ohio, that is, will have a shot to win this game. We don't know what kind of a shot, but they're saying if the local team here in Vegas happens to win, they're going to win by maybe a point or two. And I'm inclined to think Miami of Ohio could walk away with a victory there. Speaking in that same area of Miami of Ohio is Bowling Green. Bowling Green is plus 27.5. They opened up at plus 27.5, and they're just down 0.5 point and 1 point at the casinos. So will Louisville destroy them? Probably. Bowling Green, you're in for a very, very long day. Back here in a few minutes on the Circus with more odds. Lots more to come, folks. Don't go anywhere.
If I was your mother and you had a drug problem, I'd grab you by the ear and make you call and get help. You can be in treatment tomorrow and start to get clean in 7 days. Follow Mom's advice and call the Detox and Treatment Helpline now. Write this number down.
800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. That's 800-814-8628.
Are you or someone you love struggling with an addiction to drugs or alcohol and want to be set free from the chains of addiction? Then call Addiction Helpline America right now to get the help you need. From drug and alcohol addiction to dual diagnosis treatment, we provide a confidential helpline to help people like you get sober and live happy, substance-free lives.
Treatment helped me get my life back. I was so addicted, the only person I could focus on was myself and what I needed. I hit rock bottom and lost everything. Through treatment, I was able to overcome those demons and focus on my family again.
I used until I overdosed and almost died. That was the end of the road for me. After seeking treatment, I now have hope. I learned skills that help me deal with life on life's terms.
800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. That's 800-426-4994.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Investors, keep listening to learn how to get your free gold report. A currency crisis is upon us. The U.S. dollar has been the world's reserve currency for over 50 years, but that is changing. It's time to protect your retirement. Decades of reckless borrowing and spending have critically weakened the dollar. The U.S. has become the world's biggest debtor with over $35 trillion in debt. Plus, the dollar's become weaponized. Countries are dumping it. Investors who wait until it's too late could lose big. There is one safe haven: gold. Diversify your portfolio with a physical asset they can't take away. Call the Reagan Gold Group right now and ask for your free gold guide. Here's our number:
800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. That's 800-876-7041.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for upcoming guests, our prior guests, recorded shows, which can be found on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, iHeart, YouTube, Stitcher, Deezer, plus a whole bunch of others. Also, make sure you check out the partners page. Lots of great partners on that page. And I got to tell you, folks, the list is long and lengthy. Pick your favorite partner. I mean, Al's number one Italian beef, the music of Jason Owens. Could be the real Anthony Fauci from Robert F. Kennedy Jr. All kinds of great sponsors in there. Cali Vegas and a whole score of others. Lots and lots of good partners. Go ahead and check them out at thesportscircus.com partner page. You pick your favorite and get in touch with them and just tell them that the circus sent you. And who knows, maybe you'll get a special prize for it. Maybe you won't. Don't really know. Anyway, we just like to recognize who works with us, and we'd like to call them out every now and then as well. All right, folks. Back here on the Sports Circus, pick your favorite station, radio or TV or streaming, whatnot. Welcome back. And we're going to continue on with these odds for college football. And we left off with Bowling Green likely getting absolutely destroyed by Louisville, which they should. Moving on to an interesting game in the ACC, and that's Clemson and Syracuse. Clemson is a 17-point favorite, according to MGM and Caesars. The line opened up at 17.5. That's pretty much a true line. And it looks like Clemson really, but you don't really know what you're getting with these guys. And Syracuse plays a pretty good quality game. I'm inclined to take the 17 points and call it a day. That seems to make a little sense. I don't care what Dabo's got up his sleeve. It seems like Syracuse will compete in that game. Now, here's another interesting one. Wisconsin opens up at -7.5. They're up to 10 at Bally's, Caesars, and MGM. Maryland, well, they're not really a great road team, but what I find interesting about Wisconsin at home, look, they were blown out at home. At the road. But when it comes to playing up in Camp Randall, those guys, they win low-scoring affairs. This is one of those 17-6 kind of a games, or maybe 20-10 or something like that, or 20-9. It's going to be a weird score. I'm going to go with Wisconsin. I'm going to lay the 10 because that seems to make a little bit of sense. And whatever the over and under is, I'm going under it. It doesn't even matter. But here's this one. I'm actually going to go over on the Texas Tech and Utah. I don't care what the over and under is. They're going to score a lot of points in that game. And Utah opens up at -3. They're down to, or 3.5. They're down to 3 at all the casinos that I mentioned previously. And that'll be a fun game to watch, folks. If you want offense, don't really look for it there. But then again, one team could score a bunch of points, which would basically start a wild scoring spree. And Texas Tech, boy, they could just drop 50 in a second. Here's another team that scores a lot. It's Arkansas. Arkansas opens up -5.5 on the road at Memphis. That's a very close game in proximity, folks. And Memphis is getting 7.5. They're a home team dog, and that shapes up to be one of those 80-odd point games to be scored. And maybe all those 80 points will be scored by Arkansas, but nonetheless, Memphis should make it some kind of a game. And there is one line. It's an online bet. If you're into South Florida and South Carolina State, I don't see any competition there whatsoever. South Florida should completely destroy South Carolina State. And the same thing with Vatech and Wofford. Vatech is going to get off the schneid. They're 31.5. Look for Vatech to score about 45 points in that game, and Wofford to maybe walk away with a field goal or two. That's about it. And then we talked about this one earlier. It was Tennessee hosting UAB. The Dragons ranked 121st in the nation at 2 wins against 1 loss. The line opens up at Tennessee -41.5. The casinos have them at 39.5. So Bally's and Caesars have them at 39. MGM at -39.5. I got to tell you, folks, I would probably be willing to lay the 39 and 39.5 with Tennessee. Tennessee, with their giveaway loss against Georgia, it looks like they might score 60 in this game, and UAB might not even score. So look for Tennessee to cover in that one. Central Michigan is hosting Wagner, and Central Michigan is an easy winner in this one. I just don't see how they lose this game. You could essentially bet the farm on Central Michigan. There's no way they're going to lose to Wagner. Oregon opens up at minus 27.5 at home in Eugene, and they're up to minus 35.5 at Bally's and MGM. Caesars has them at minus 35. And now this is against Oregon State. So remember, they're only 1 year away or removed from the Pac-12 and these two teams competing. And listen, Oregon State may not be a great team, but make no mistake, this is their Super Bowl. This is their national title game, whatever. I'm telling you, folks, I'm going to take Oregon State with 35.5 bet at Bally's, and they may lose the game, 42-7. Well, guess what? They still win by the hook. So Oregon State plus 35.5 looks pretty darn good to me. Now, the University of Louisiana opens up at minus 6.5. The Raging Cajuns are down to minus 2.5. All the money has gone on Eastern Michigan in this one, the home team. And Louisiana is just too much for this club. I don't care what the line is. I would lay the 6.5. I would lay the 2.5. I don't see how Eastern Michigan wins this game. North Carolina and Bill Belichick, the Fighting Belichicks, opened up at plus 3.5, and they're up to plus 7 at all the casinos. Central Florida is really likely going to do a number on the Fighting Belichicks of Carolina. Look for Central Florida to win big. And here's another big one. Florida State opens up at 45.5, and there's still 45.5 at Bally's and Bally's and Caesars. No, actually MGM Grand and Bally's. Whatever. They're 45.5, 46. Florida State would probably win this game. I'm going to guess somewhere around 51-6, something like that. Florida State will likely cover the line. Gus Malzahn and company will do very, very well against Kent State, but then again, they are the last ranked team. They're 136th in the nation. The Rockets of Toledo opens up minus 11.5 on the road at Western Michigan. They're up to 14.5 across the board. Western Michigan will likely get pounded in this game. University of Toledo will rocket right past Western Michigan Broncos. Very, very easy win for Toledo, albeit a relatively close in proximity game. The men of Troy opened up at plus 1.5 at Buffalo. They're up to 6 and 6.5 at MGM and Caesars. And Buffalo is one of those really good home teams. But you know what? Troy's not a bad squad. I'm inclined to take the 6.5 and look for a closer game than we may think here. Auburn is playing the Paperclips. Better yet, well, the O and the U of Oklahoma look like a paperclip. That's what I say. That's my opinion. I'm entitled to it. So it's Auburn. They open up plus 4.5. They're up to plus 6.5 at MGM and Caesars, and Auburn is up to plus 7. War Eagle. Can they win this game straight up at Oklahoma? I think they can. The defense may show up, and they may get themselves a win, a straight-up win on the money line. That would be a real nice one there. Auburn needs to have some big wins because they've had some, let's just put it this way, they've been a little bit, well, maybe a little disappointing the last handful of years. Let's just see if Auburn can show up against Oklahoma, get themselves a nice signature win for the season. Ole Miss at home opens up minus 14 against Tulane, and Tulane is no slouch. Ole Miss will just simply outscore them. The line's down to 12.5, and that's at all the casinos. Ole Miss will win the game, but I don't think they're going to cover the spread. I would take Tulane with the 12.5. Ball State and UConn, it's the nobody cares game, but Ball State is getting 21. They opened up at plus 18.5. They're up to 21. UConn going away, covering the 21. Michigan and Nebraska. So this is when Nebraska gets a reality check that they're not very good. Even though Michigan's not that good this year, they're better than Nebraska. And Michigan opens up minus 2.5, and they're still minus 2.5. That's a true line. Michigan wins the game by a field goal. Purdue and Notre Dame. Purdue opens up at plus 30.5 in South Bend, and they're down to 24.5 at Bally's. 25.5 at Caesars and MGM. Look for the Boilers to cover and compete in this game over Notre Dame. Now, the Dukes of James Madison open up minus 10.5 on the road at Liberty, down to 9.5 at the casinos. Look for Liberty to be a home team dog and win with those 9.5 points. James Madison is good, but I don't know. Liberty's going to make it close. Gardner-Webb and the Bobcats of Ohio U. Ohio U wins this one going away. Duke and NC State, these two schools are about 8 miles apart. Duke opens up at 3. It's up to 3.5 at Caesars and MGM. Bally's has it still at 3. If it's 3, I would lay the 3 and get a Duke victory there. Northern Illinois, real quick here before we go to the break. Northern Illinois opens up plus 21.5, and there's still 21.5 at Pick Your Favorite Casino against Mississippi State. And Northern Illinois should absolutely get destroyed by Mississippi State. Take Miss State minus the 21. Back here in a few minutes on the Circus. Finish up our college football. Don't go anywhere.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. That's 800-298-3173.
Owning great property is almost impossible these days. At least, that's what people keep saying. They don't know about National Premier Properties. Do you have $350 or a credit card? You can own a great piece of property in a resort community. National Premier Properties has over 51 years of experience helping people just like you purchase amazing properties across the U.S. and in Mexico, Canada, the Bahamas. It takes less than 5 minutes to turn your dream into reality. Visit nationalpremierproperties.com and make it happen now.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the MTV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, make sure you check out the sportscircus.com's store. There's a tab right across the website, and it says store, and check out all the logoed items, hats, hoodies, t-shirts, coat, sweatpants, pillows, mouse pads, travel mugs, coffee mugs, all kinds of neat stuff with the clever Sports Circus logo on them, embroidered or silkscreen, depending on the item you're getting. Gotta tell you, folks, very clever logo, and if you want to know more about it, info@thesportscircus.com, and we could tell you all about it. Anyway, a nice shameless plug, of course, for the Sports Circus. And by the way, if you mention your Ringmaster Sal, there's an extra 10% off in it just for you. How do you like that? All right. All right, back to these college football odds. We got to run through these just because this takes a little bit longer than one would imagine. Left off with Northern Illinois getting destroyed by Mississippi State in the upcoming game. Temple travels down to Atlanta to play Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech opens up at 24.5. They're down to 23.5 at all the casinos. Better yet, MGM has them at 24. I'm inclined to lay the 23.5 at Caesars or Bally's. Temple is just not a good football team. They historically have been a good defensive team. The problem is they're playing a very, very solid Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket club. So don't look for that one to end well for Temple. Here's another one that likely won't end well for the favorite this time. San Jose State is hosting the Vandals of Idaho. And watch, Idaho could actually win this game straight up. The line's 9.5 at one of the online venues. But I'm going to go with Idaho for the Pepto-Bismol upset stomach special of the week. And I think Idaho wins that game down in San Jose. And it is West Virginia. They opened up plus 10.5 on the road against the Jayhawks of Kansas. That line jumped up from 10.5 on the plus side to 13.5 at the casinos. West Virginia plus 13.5. Boy, that's a pretty big number. And I'm not really sure which Kansas team is going to show up, so I'm likely to take West Virginia with all those points. Here's another one. Arkansas State looking for a big bounce back, and they opened up minus 6.5 on the road at Kennesaw State down in Georgia. And it sure seems to me that Kennesaw State, their losing ways will continue. Arkansas State is a hell of a lot better than what they showed in the last week. So that line went from 6.5 down to 4.5 at MGM and Caesars, up to 5.5 at Bally's. I'm inclined to lay the 4.5 with Arkansas State on the road. How about the Blue Hens of Delaware travel to Florida International? Florida International opens up minus 2.5. It's up to 6 at all the casinos. Actually 6.5 at MGM. And I tell you what, I like the road dog in this one. I'll take that 6.5 at MGM. And we'll go ahead and see Delaware keep it close. Now, Akron, the Zips, and I say Zip because that's their name, and Zip is how many games they're likely going to win this year. They are minus 6.5 at home hosting Duquesne. Of course, Duquesne is out of the greater Pittsburgh area, so this is a very close game in proximity. And look for Duquesne to travel well. Look for there to be no home advantage for Akron, except for the fact they're in their locker robes. It just seems to me Duquesne is going to keep this one close, and they're probably going to win the game. I would be likely betting, if I was, on Duquesne over Akron, and to keep Akron in the winless group, if you will. Now, the next one is South Alabama opens up minus 14, and that's against Coastal. Now, Coastal Carolina is getting actually 14.5 at all the casinos, so the line actually just went up 0.5 point. I'm inclined to take the 14.5 on the road at South Alabama. I'll take Coastal Carolina in this one. Now, staying down in that part of the country is South Carolina opens up plus 3 at Missouri. Now, you want to talk about a defensive squad. The Missouri Tigers, boy, that is the club for defense. Now, Missouri opens up minus 3, and the line is up to minus 10 at Bally's and 10.5 at Caesars and MGM. And if I can get it at 10 at Bally's, I would probably lay the 10. The hook, the 0.5 point, makes me a little bit scared because it is still a couple of SEC teams. And so you never know what's going to happen there. But Missouri should be able to cover the 10. Nevada Wolfpack traveling to Western Kentucky against the Hilltoppers. Well, I just drove through there just recently. And Western Kentucky is a quality defensive squad. They open up minus -12.5. The casinos have them -10.5. And actually, Bally's has them at -11. If I'm laying any points, I would do it at Caesar's Palace at -10.5. I'll go ahead and chance the hook. Looking for a 21-10 game. Western Kentucky will probably end up in the win column there. Boise State travels to the Air Force Academy, and Boise State opens up -8.5. They're up to -10 across the board, and Air Force is going to keep this one close. This is a home game for Air Force, and look for Air Force to keep this one within a field goal. Marshall, the Thundering Herd, open up -4.5 at Middle Tennessee. That's right, at Middle Tennessee. The line's down to 3 across the board. Will Marshall, now mind you, again, this is another one of those close in proximity matches, and so maybe it could be a 3-point game. Now, only one online venue has them at 2.5, and I guess if you can get it at Marshall at -2.5, it's better, but 3, you're looking for a push right there. Marshall probably will win, but it's going to be a real tight game. How about Jacksonville State hosting the Racers of Murray State? Now, this is not basketball, so Jacksonville State should roll in this one. There shouldn't be any question whatsoever. Murray State should not even compete in this game, just like with Maine and Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern by a country mile in that one. Missouri State and Tennessee Martin, don't even think about it. Brigham Young opens up -9.5. It's down to -6.5 across the board against the Pirates of East Carolina. And Brigham Young is a good defensive squad. But again, they're playing over at East Carolina. I'll take the 6.5 with the Pirates. Florida has really been scuffling. And they're getting, at the open of 6.5, they're up to 7.5 across the board by Miami. So the Miami, Florida, the Hurricanes are -7.5 across the board. You know what? I'm going to take Florida in this interstate rival, or this in-state rival, I should say. And I think Florida's going to cover. They're not going to win the game, but I think they'll keep it close. Here's the game that nobody suspected would ever be a good game. Illinois travels to Bloomington to play Indiana. That's right, Illinois and Indiana. 2 ranked teams, and we're talking in the top 25 and the top 15. Illinois opens up +4.5. They're up to +6 across the board. Indiana, are they 6 points better than Illinois? I don't think so. I don't think so because Illinois plays a better brand of defense where Indiana just scores. But let's face it, good defense against good offense. In many cases, it's good defense that wins. I'll take the 6 and the Fighting Illini over the Pitchforks of the Indiana Hoosiers. Speaking of Pitchfork, here's Arizona State. Arizona State opens up +2.5, and they remain at +2.5 across the board when they travel down to Waco, Texas to play Baylor. Baylor should be able to cover. Now, Arizona State doesn't have Scatterbo anymore because he's now with the New York Football Giants, and so that takes away a gigantic offensive weapon. And we're going to take Baylor -2.5 to win by the hook with a field goal. Stanford travels to the Wahoos to play Virginia. Virginia opens up -14.5, it's up to 15.5, 16.5 at Bally's. And so, honestly, folks, Stanford, this is an ACC game, believe it or not. It's hard to imagine Stanford being in the ACC. But it is the Wahoos laying 16.5. Man, that's a lot of points for a conference game. I'll take Stanford +16.5 from Bally's. Southern Miss and Louisiana Tech. This one looks like a cakewalk for Louisiana Tech. Open up -2.5 up to 3.5 across the board. Louisiana Tech going away. Washington, this is the old Apple Cup, but it's actually being played before apple picking season. Washington visits Washington State. They open up at -10 and they're up to 19.5. Is Washington State that bad? I don't know. Well, I'm inclined to follow the money on this one and just lay the 19.5 and call it a day. That's a big number, but geez, that thing is trending in that direction. The money knows all. Just remember that. Georgia State travels over to Nashville to play Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt opens up a 26.5 favorite. They're up to 27 at Bally's, 27.5 at Caesars and MGM. I don't think Vanderbilt covers the 27.5 at MGM. I'm likely going to take those 27.5 points with Georgia State. LSU should absolutely demolish Southeastern Louisiana. I don't even know why they're playing. This is the tune-up game's tune-up game. And Louisiana, if you have a farm, bet that entire farm on this game. Southeastern Louisiana will not even compete in this game. And the same thing with Texas and Sam Houston State. Texas opens up at 40.5. It's essentially 40, 39.5. Just lay the 40 and call it a day. Seriously. And the same thing with Utah State and McNeese. Utah State, they should absolutely run roughshod over McNeese. No contest there. Same thing with Texas State and Nicholls State. Texas State all over Nicholls State. There should be no game even played there. Now UTEP, University of Texas El Paso, opens up -1.5 against Louisiana Monroe. They're up to 6 or 5.5 at Bally's, 6 at Caesar, 6.5 at MGM. I would lay the 5.5 at home, take UTEP, and call it a day. UTSA, this will be a fun game to watch. If you like track meets, this is the one to watch. UTSA, Texas San Antonio, -4.5 at the Open. They're up to 5.5, or 5.5 at MGM, 5 at Caesars Palace, 4.5 at Bally's. But remember, Colorado State is a very good squad. And they're good in basketball, they're good in football, they're very competitive. I will take the 5.5 from MGM with Colorado State. Wyoming is traveling to Boulder to play Deion Sanders. And of course, Colorado opens up for 15.5, and that line's down to 13.5. I'll take Colorado minus the 13th to get themselves a win. Cal opens up at -11.5. And this is an in-state rival with San Diego State, albeit top of the state, bottom of the state. Cal is up to 12.5. And they'll probably win by about 13. I don't really think that's going to be a close game. San Diego State may keep it closer to the first half, but that's it. USC, speaking of Southern California, USC opens up -14.5 at home against Sparty, and the line is 18.5 right now. Look for Sparty to keep it close. And finally, Hawaii is hosting Fresno State. Fresno State opens up at 3.5. The line's down to 3, 2.5 at Bally's, and Fresno State should get themselves a win, probably by a field goal. And that's one of those 38-35 kind of games, and they'll probably win by the hook. Hopefully Hawaii gets themselves a victory. That's going to do it for today's show. I'm your ringmaster, Sal. We'll see you in about 23 hours right here on your favorite station. Until then, happy betting, and we'll see you then. So long, everyone.
Owning great property is almost impossible these days. At least, that's what people keep saying. They don't know about National Premier Properties. Do you have $350 or a credit card? You can own a great piece of property in a resort community. National Premier Properties has over 51 years of experience helping people just like you purchase amazing properties across the U.S. and in Mexico, Canada, the Bahamas. It takes less than 5 minutes to turn your dream into reality. Visit nationalpremierproperties.com and make it happen now.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.